So I have my original lab file which contains what I need to do, and I created a second one to write a report. So from the lab instruction, I'm supposed to ping this host. So I go back to the original document where I'm writing the report at. I actually say yes, I have done it. Then I open my virtual machine, put in the commands to ping the host. I run it, and then I bring the mouse pointer to the taskbar, actually an empty space on the taskbar. I click it once, then Windows Shift S to screenshot. I take the screenshot of the command itself because it's the methodology. Then I bring it into the report I'm writing. So here comes the results section where I need to write in whatever I observed from the command I ran earlier. That's in the methodology. So I do that and I go back to my terminal. Same process. I screenshot. Here lies the case. The screenshot is saved in my clipboard. So I'm not actually saving it directly to my machine. So it's saved in the clipboard. Then I just paste it into the Word document I'm working in. So just a little bit of something that went on here, just to get you engaged. Because I know that if I not do so you don't scroll past this post long time. So what I did was to send 10 ICMP echo requests to the target host, and if it was reachable, it would reply with an ICMP echo reply, right? So I observed the traffic, or let me say I sniffed the traffic in another terminal using Scapy. I filtered it to just sniff for ICMP packets with a count of 10, and then I sniffed on the interface BR internal. So if you were to be doing this, you would sniff the traffic on the default gateway, right, to the network which the host is located on, right? Let me say the target host. Yes. So that's what I did, and after 10 packets were received, or let me say 10 packets were recorded by Scapy, it automatically cut off the recording. So I had 5 ICMP requests and then 5 ICMP echo replies. So when I'm done with everything, I need to bullet out my points in the methodology and then the results just to enhance reading of the report, right? So that's what I do here. So let's take a look at the structure of the report itself. So that's the title I used for my report, and then that's the title that came with the original lab file. I'll move forward to the scenario behind the lab, the resources, that's the tools used, the methodology. Then the methodology is actually the instructions that came with the lab, so that's what we use for the methodology, or let me say I use for the methodology, right? Then we move ahead to the results. So here I got an example here. So the first part of the results section, whatever I had there corresponds to the first part of the methodology. So when I do anything in the methodology, I bring the corresponding results, right? So I work hand in hand, like when I do this, I do that, I do this, I do that, just so that I keep the same pace. The mitigation section. Some labs may present some issues or present some flaws that need to be mitigated. So I research, I put in the recommendations there, and then we move forward to the reflection. So that's just what I think about the lab I've completed, how it helped me in any way, what I learned from it. So for everything, I saved the report. So then I move back to my virtual machine. I check the settings, make sure that I've imported that particular folder which I saved the file to. I've shared it with my virtual machine, right? So I understand it may get overwhelming if you have so many screenshots you included in your lab, and then trying to push everything to GitHub, how to order them, taking screenshots, saving them to your device and all that. It may get overwhelming, but just keep watching. In this lab I had over 50 images or screenshots, but I will show you a simple way to go about. So after being a super user, I changed directories to the shared folder which contains the lab report I wrote, right? I look for the lab report. There you are. So in such a case where I have so many screenshots embedded in my Microsoft Word file, I use Pandoc, a universal documents converter, to convert my Microsoft Word documents into Markdown format, while retaining headings and then the media references. So it's basically simple. It's based on the command that you see on the screen right now. Pandoc extracts all embedded images into a separate media folder, and then in Markdown file, then Pandoc still replaces each image with the Markdown image syntax, which keeps it properly referenced. I mean the images, right? So that command saves the extracted screenshots into the folder craft Scapy, and then enter to actually run the command. Then we now check the MD, that's the Markdown format of the file we just converted, and I also check the folder craft scapper, and then that's the screenshots over there labeled in the right order from image 1 to the final image. So I opened the Markdown file with Phoenix Code. So I don't usually use VS Code for this scenario. I usually fall back on Phoenix Code because it's a text editor that is very much simple and then interactive. Like, that's how I see it to be. It helps you to actually get live previews of whatever you are doing. So it's quite simple and then straightforward to use. So tools still come with some kind of inconsistency, so that's what I'm trying to correct here. So even though we automated everything, we still need to make some corrections in the Markdown format, such as the width and then the height of the image. It's not needed. It will just cause inconsistencies in the in displaying the images, so I just take it out. So I'll explain a few, let me say, basic Markdown commands you can know about easily to go about documenting your work in Markdown format, right? So I'll start with the pound symbol. It is used when writing a header. So the number of pound symbols used results in the smaller the header. So let's say if you want to make subheadings, you use more pound symbols. In terms of formatting the text, to bolden it, you use 2 asterisk symbols at the left side of the text and at the right side of the text. To italize it, you use just 1 asterisk symbol at the left side and at the right side of the text. And then to create a table in Markdown format, you usually use the hyphens and then the vertical bars. So the vertical bars in this case is just like the let me say the pipe symbol. In Kali Linux or working on the command line interface, if let's say you want to pipe a command, you have 2 commands and you want to pipe it. So using the output of the first command as the input to the second command, you usually pipe it. So that kind of symbol, yes, is what I'm referring to as the vertical bar. So you use that with the hyphen to create table. In addition, 3 or more hyphens create a horizontal line. Well, I know the video is already lengthy, but quite informational for whoever needs this kind of information. But these are not just the Markdown commands. There are, if you need more, no worries, you can leave a comment in the comment section and then I'll get back to you. I could create a simple layout for you, or I could give you some resources to actually understand the Markdown format or using Markdown, the Markdown language, let me put it that way. So after fixing everything, I reload the preview page and I check to see that everything is intact. So from here, you realize that the craft scapper folder also contains the folder media in which the screenshots are embedded in. So I move forward to GitHub web interface, and I actually work in the Cybersecurity lab repository. I try to keep everything in an ordered kind of way. So then I create a new folder, information gathering and vulnerability scanning. So that's just the module name for that particular lab. So I put in other labs under that particular module. So since I'll be working on other labs that would include other screenshots, I keep the craft scapper folder inside the media folder rather, and I add a .git keep. So since Git doesn't allow tracking empty folders, I add that particular file inside the folder and then commit the changes. .git keep file is more of a placeholder that allows Git to recognize and then commit the folder into the repository, right? So you can see I upload all the images into the folder and then I add the commit message to it. So from here you can see the screenshot successfully added, committed to the repository inside the folder. So we move forward to getting the content of the Markdown file onto GitHub as well. But I'm not going to push it directly. I'm going to copy the content from Phoenix Code to GitHub, and then make some changes again there. I'll let you know when we get there. So previewing the content, I identified one issue, the use of the equal to instead of the 3 hyphens. So I corrected that. Oh wow, you're still watching. Oh, I'm so glad because someone actually skipped this post long time ago. So let's just continue. So looking at the Markdown image syntax, the exclamation symbol tells it that it's an image. The open square brackets, whatever is included in there as a text, that's the alt text. And then the brackets on the other side, it's actually the link or the path to the image itself. So I hope you just saw when I interchanged the link, that's the Crafts Kapai, with the media. I just did that to maintain a clean interface. Remember that with the two used, Pandoc, it actually keeps the extracted screenshots inside a media folder, and then that media folder is also placed inside the Crafts Kapai folder. But here lies the case, if I want to call it out and then get a very simple interface, so I just want one media folder containing folders to all other labs, it's screenshots. So I just swap the so I swap it actually to put the Crafts Kapai folder inside the media folder rather, yes, just to keep the interface very smooth, clean, and then I'll be able to call out the images if I need them. So yes, this is not Mission Impossible. I hope you've watched it before, right? This mission was actually successful. So yeah, we successfully called out the images, everything. It could get overwhelming, but I personally feel this approach is much simpler. Because looking at all these images, if I said I was saving them one by one to my device, it would be so overwhelming. So I think this is cool rather. Now, before command line people come and hold my neck like I did them wrong, I actually made something up for anyone who could or maybe wanted to use the command line interface in pushing his or her project or lab reports to GitHub. So from Windows, I'll use git bash for this. So then I input the command git to check if git is installed. That's when I see these available commands. So yeah, you might ask, what is git? So git is just a version control system that allows you to keep track of changes made to a file, so that you can be able to go back to previous versions in case you need them. So think of it like file integrity in terms of hashes, right? But here lies the case. In git, you tell git what files to track. So I first list the configuration of git. What really interests us is the user.email and the user.name. So that's just the username and then the email used for your GitHub account. So if it's not that exactly on your machine, you can edit it with a command above. So I then change directory to where my Markdown file is contained in. Then I move ahead to GitHub to create a new repository. So that when you configure your Git settings, and then when you're pushing from the terminal interface, with your first try, you will be required to authenticate with GitHub, right? Then I clone the repo onto my local machine or my local computer, however you might want to say it. Then it already contains the hidden git file. So after cloning, I then copy the Markdown file from wherever it is into the clone folder. So after, I need to move the file from my working directory to the staging area. That's where git add comes in, and then the dot means that I should add everything into the staging area. Now git commit moves the staged files from the staging area to my local repository. Then from the local repository, I push it to the remote repository using the git push to the main branch, right? So let me now refresh GitHub so I can see the pushed Markdown file. Yeah, so that's right there. So a big shout out to Mr. Atram, who through the 3-day cyber portfolio bootcamp organized by Mobile Cyber Safety Nexus and then Markdown IT Securities, broke down the technicalities involved in using GitHub and then working from the command line interface, actually from the working directory to the staging area to the local repository and then to the remote repository. So do follow Mobile and Markdown via LinkedIn, because I bet you don't want to miss the next bootcamp.